Let's talk a little NFL draft, talk some NFL. Ryan Wilson from CBS Sports joins us on the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude's the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. Hey, Ryan.
Good morning. How's it going?
Good morning, man.
What's up, Ryan?
Before we take a deep dive in the draft, just kind of a funny thing which you mentioned earlier. Is it crazy that the Jets didn't even have one interception all season?
You know, it's really depressing for me personally. Rick Spielman hosted the podcast with me for the last 2 years, and he left what was a pretty cushy media job to be Woody Johnson's right-hand man about a year ago, and he has somehow made that organization worse. So he is that's something he has to live with. But it is hard, and I felt like Aaron Glenn was probably going to be safe. He and Woody have a pretty close relationship, but it is hard to sort of come back from that as a defensive guy and doing the things you did in Detroit, turning that team around defensively. And then you trade away Sauce, you trade away Quinn, and you basically you have the exact number of interceptions this season as you or me combined. So that's not a strong start.
Well, just in terms of the playoffs and the matchups, I look at it to just be wide open. The only wild card team I feel real confident about winning is the Rams going to Carolina. Now they're the biggest favorite, so I guess it makes sense. But last year, you looked at Philly, the regular season they had. You looked at Kansas City and the regular season they had. You said, you know what? They're probably going to the Super Bowl. But this year, I think it's wide open. Your thoughts on it?
No, I think that's right. I'm a Steelers homer, but I don't feel great about their matchup with the Texans, given how good that defense has played, and it feels like CJ's coming along. But otherwise, I'm with you. The Rams are, when they're locked in, are pretty special. I think these games are actually going to be really exciting, which feels like something we don't say a lot, especially early in the playoffs. The Packers-Bears game, I mean, we'll see where Jordan Love is. They battled injuries. I'm of the opinion, and this is crazy, the Jaguars are playing so well, I don't feel great about the Bills' chances. The Bills have been sort of up and down this year. Josh Allen has looked like he's carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, in part because he can't find a receiver. Keon Coleman's been inactive until this meaningless game yesterday. And the Jaguars don't realize that they're the Jaguars. They're playing some pretty inspired football.
Right.
And maybe the most fun team to watch for me are the New England Patriots, and just a testament to how quickly you can turn things around. And Commanders fans know this as well. If you get the coach right and you get the quarterback right and everyone stays healthy, you can go from bad to really, really good pretty quickly.
Yeah, everyone staying healthy is easier said than done. But let me ask you this before we get into the draft. Stefanski was just fired. That just happened, I don't know, an hour ago or so. Raheem Morris obviously let go. The Titans and Giants looking for a head coach. Do you think any of these other teams, Arizona, Las Vegas, I doubt the Jets, but do you foresee any of these other openings coming in the next 48 hours?
Yeah, this Pete Carroll thing's going to be interesting because it could not have gone worse. And he's 74, so you have to figure that out. And there are reports that Tom Brady, Pete Carroll wasn't his number one guy, and then Pete brought in Chip Kelly, and they had to fire him midway through the season. They still owe him money. Pete's two sons are still on staff, and that unit obviously underperformed. So I think that's a place to keep an eye on. It feels like, just on the outside looking in, not having talked to anyone, that Jonathan Gannon might be okay in Arizona. They have to get the quarterback situation figured out. Jacoby Brissett was the best quarterback on that roster, and that's not where you want to be in 2026. Other than that, it feels like anything after that would be a surprise. I think Zach Taylor's going to be back, and Bengals fans will tell you why that's a terrible idea, but I don't think that's changing. And then I expect some coordinator changes. It certainly feels like Matt Eberflus is probably packing his bags in Dallas right now. But in terms of head coaching jobs, I don't think John Harbaugh is going anywhere. And even after the season, I can't imagine Mike Tomlin will be leaving Pittsburgh for any other reasons than Mike Tomlin wants to leave Pittsburgh.
Right.
Ryan, you mentioned Arizona. Where do you think the most likely landing spot is for Kyler Murray? Because they clearly didn't want to play him down the stretch. You touched on the fact that Jacoby Brissett was playing there and actually ran the offense pretty well while Murray wasn't in there. What team do you think makes a play for Murray in the offseason?
So the question becomes, the team that can they fix him? Will they decide, will they convince themselves, the GM and head coach, they can fix Kyler Murray where Arizona couldn't? And then you have, will the Browns be a landing spot? Would that make sense? If Aaron Rodgers retires, is that something Mike Tomlin would want to take on? And I think that Kyler has to be in a situation where he is not the leader in terms of dragging the offense up and down the field like he's Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. He has to be a piece of the set to make this all work. And then in that case, it has to be a team that's relatively successful. And I honestly don't know where that's going to be. Would Kevin O'Connell want to bring him in as a backup to J.J. McCarthy, who obviously struggled throughout the year and struggled to stay healthy as well? And I don't know if Kyler's interested in being a backup. I know for all the things that Kyler's good at, a great team leader wasn't necessarily something we heard off the top of the conversation. So I honestly don't know where that answer lies, just because his unique skill set, his inability to play on time. Jacoby Brissett, like we just said, certainly isn't the physical athlete that Kyler is, but he ran the offense way more efficiently. Miami, do you want to roll if you're moving on from Tua, if Mike McDaniel stays and it feels like he's going to stay, they need a GM there? Is that something Mike McDaniel could work with? And my first inclination is no, because for all of Tua's faults, he does play on time, and when he's clicking, it really the offense hums, and that's just not Kyler's game. So I'm curious about this, and I would not be shocked if there's a situation where he ends up being a backup maybe to start 2026.
Ryan, the Commanders had a terrible year, both offensively and defensively, but defensively they were near the bottom, if not the bottom, in a lot of categories. They need help defensively. All right, they're sitting at 7. They would have, if they lost yesterday, they would have been at 5. But we already talked about that earlier. It's okay; they still get a great player at 7. Talk to me about edge rushers, possibly Caleb Downs at Ohio State, who's a great safety. What do you think that they're going to do at 7?
Yeah, so it's not great when your leading sack guy is Von Miller, not because Von isn't great, just because he's north of 30. Jacob Martin, I think, finished second, and his contract's up after next season. He'll be 30 by then. So, right, they need to get that sorted out. And if you're looking for edge help, there's no Abdul Carter in this class per se, but Abdul Carter didn't really come on to the last few weeks. But in the top 10, they're going to be guys like Keldrick Falk out of Auburn, who's built as close to Julius Peppers as you're going to be. He is 50% of the way there.
6'6".
He's incredible.
I like that.
Yeah, he's incredibly raw, but there's a lot. He's incredibly young as well. Sometimes the comps are Tyree Wilson from a few years ago. Tyree was much older coming out of Texas Tech, but he has a chance to grow, and you feel like Dan Quinn will be someone to unlock that. If you're looking for more of a finished product, Ruben Bain Jr. is going to get a ton of run. The issue with Ruben Bain Jr., and every team I talk to, he's going to have short arms and probably 31 inch or shorter, and the average top 10 pick as an edge rusher is usually 33 and a half, somewhere around then. So the issue becomes, yes, you can be a bowling ball and move guys off the spot in college, but if you don't have long arms, you're not going to ever have an opportunity to beat someone like Trent Williams, for example.
Right.
T.J. Parker at Clemson didn't have a great year. I think he's going to slide a little bit. I don't know if he was injured or not, but the tape in 25 didn't look like 24. But he has some juice as an edge rusher. And then David Bailey, who transferred from Stanford to Texas A&M and Texas Tech, and he shone in that game against Oregon over the weekend. He was everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if top 10 is too high for him. But again, Leatu Latu went 15th overall. He was the first edge rusher taken a few years ago, first defensive player taken. I think he's on par athletically with what Latu can do. He's a little younger and he's a little twitchier. And then with Caleb Downs, the question becomes: are you getting more value in the secondary? Is that where you want to spend your top 10 pick, even though he's special? Is he Caleb Hamilton special? I think he has a chance to be. He's a different type player, but in terms of being impactful. But he's only going to be 5'10" and change, maybe 5'11". If that scares you off, it's just something you have to consider. I don't care about that. I think he's a great player. Mm-hmm. But as you point out, you have needs virtually at all three levels. Someone like Arvell Reese could either do it.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to focus on defense. They're going to get a star unless they botch it. He's going to be available.
That's right. That's right. And the good news is that there's much more depth at the top of this class at defense. If you're looking for an offensive lineman in the top 10, you're going to have to squint to sort of find one. But I think
gag
defensively,
me with a spoon, Cakes. Not a fan of that plan.
No, I think you're right, Ryan. I think they're going defense. It's just a matter of edge, or do they go to Caleb Downs? Just at the top of the draft, the top 3 teams are quarterback hungry. I mean, Vegas, the Jets, and Arizona. Mendoza's going to go 1 or 2. Dante Moore will go 1 or 2. Do you think Arizona would take a Simpson, or is that too high at 3 for Ty Simpson to go?
If you asked me 2 months ago, it would not have been too high. It might have been too low the way he was playing. And then about a month ago, I was curious because I noticed every time he threw the ball more than 30 yards down the field, he missed, usually badly. So I went and looked, and his downfield completion percentage this season was among the worst of any first-round pick going back to 2019, which is Joe Burrow's draft class. And you go back even further, the only quarterback to sort of overcome that in terms of deep ball accuracy are all the quarterbacks that end up going back to school for a year. Now, I later talked to someone at Alabama that said he's been battling a non-serious back injury, and that could have affected his ability to throw the ball out of the field. Didn't look great last weekend, but no one did on the Alabama team. They had no answers. This is going to be the question. I think if he goes in the 20s, maybe it makes more sense, but I think he's a much better quarterback than the quarterbacks we see typically go in the 20s. So I think he's better than Jackson Dart coming out. Based on the evaluation I had of Jackson Dart last year, Jackson's obviously outplayed that. He's better than certainly Kenny Pickett. He went 20th overall back in 2022, I think it was. I think he's a top 10 talent. I also think it's probably in his best interest to go back to school. He looked a little unsure of himself the last 4, 5, 6 games. And again, I don't know if that was the back injury or just the inexperience in youth.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a stretch right now to see him go to number 3.
Yeah, I agree. Where do you think guys like Mendoza and Moore would have gone in last year's draft amongst the quarterbacks?
So, Cam Ward goes number 1, and then Jackson trades up, and they get him at 25. No Shador at all, of course. Given the way that he's played right now, he probably goes like number 2, like second overall, number 2.
Right.
Dante Moore is probably he's a top 10 pick, maybe even a top 5 pick. And there would have been conversations definitely about who was going to be QB1 because I thought Cam got so much better last year. But there are questions about his hero ball and sort of playing out of structure and not sort of taking the plays that were there. And he's gotten better at that. Fernando is a robot, and where the ball needs to go, it goes.
Yeah, right.
And you know what's funny? I don't know if you guys talked about this, but I talked to some folks around the league about it. He's goofy. He's quirky.
Yes,
right?
He is very quirky. Yeah.
And here's the thing: the name that kept coming back was, you know who else is quirky? No one cared when he was in his prime. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was a goofy kid, and when he was younger. And you know how you like that. He's got the Kirk chains going crazy. Like if you win and guys rally behind you, you sort of become their guy. So there's little concern, way less concern about that than someone maybe the appearance of what Shador was a year ago, where he was aloof and wasn't willing to work with people or whatever the conversations were about the pre-draft process. So I have no concerns about that, and I don't think teams care either.
Hey, real quick, I've been blown away the little I've seen of late of Chambliss for Ole Miss. I feel like he's like a more athletic, like Brock Purdy potentially. Is he a surefire mid-round pick or no?
Yeah, so that's going to be the thing. The arm strength is going to be the question, but the toughness you cannot doubt. And the way he played, because coming into the season, he wasn't even the starter. It was the left-handed kid, the baseball player whose name's escaping me right now. He got banged up, and then Chambliss comes in and balled out.
Simmons, you're talking about Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Simmons, thank you. Yeah, Austin Simmons. So Division II Fair State. Trinidad Chambliss comes in and just takes over and then takes it to a next level. I don't know. I don't think the NCAA has ruled yet on his ability to come back, but if he can't come back, he's obviously going to come out, and he'll be in the day 3 conversation right now. He'll go to some All-Star game, whether it's the Shriner Senior Bowl, and then we'll go from there, and there's every opportunity to believe that, he ends up finding his way into the 3rd round, for example, just because of what he was able to do this year, so they'll come those odds.
Yep. All right.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you more.
We'll be talking to you in the next few months, no doubt.
Thank you,
Thanks,
buddy.
guys.
Yeah.
All right,
Ryan.
pal.
It's Ryan Wilson, CBS Sports NFL and NFL draft expert. I didn't realize that Spielman was with the Jets now, but remember, Spielman helped out in the search for Adam Peters.
Mm-hmm.
He was part of the deal with the basketball guys.
Right.
Bob Myers.
Yes. So good stuff from Ryan Wilson. Obviously, we'll be talking a lot of NFL draft in the coming months.
Yep.
Coming up next, we'll go around the NFL with the Junkies Blitz. Don't go anywhere.